Thanks for taking time out of your night to come and hang out with me and talk about Dreamless Veil.
No problem, man. My pleasure.
Super, super. What a good fucking album that is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What was the like the catalyst for it for that project coming together?
It's hard to say what the catalyst was because like I can't remember like the specific moment where I knew I wanted to write a record, but I do have a vague memory of I was on tour with Revocation. It was the last show of our tour. I think it was in Munich, and it was a tour we did years ago. I feel like Archspire was there. It might have been a headlining run that we did, and I was on stage playing the songs with Revocation, and we had just played a whole tour, so I've been playing every night. It was like total muscle memory at this point, and I like kind of zoned out while I was playing, and in my head I was like I had the idea for the intro for the album, and when I went home I was like I have to write that riff that I was thinking of when I played with Revo. So yeah, it's like it's kind of weird. I sort of wrote that riff while I was playing another riff. I don't know how that happened, but once
It's
I laid
cool.
it down, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's cool that you had like that inspiration while something else was going on. It's like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's weird. And then when I went home, I laid it down, and it didn't come out exactly like I had in my head, but that always happens, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of that song came together really fast after writing that riff. I just like I had all the ideas flowing. It was fun.
Hell yeah. It's funny. I'm a big like Revocation fan.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah.
like I don't know if you remember this tour. This
I
is
don't know if I was on that tour. Who was the opening act?
uh Signs of Shadow of Intent.
Oh, okay, that was right after I left. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember them doing that.
Yeah.
So I recorded this album, the Dreamless Veil album, while I was living with Brett from Revocation, and he was a big part of the recording process. He was sitting at the computer running Pro Tools while I was playing. So yeah, then I remember he went on that tour, and I stayed home.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
yeah, we're still friends. I just saw him actually the other day.
I love Brett. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, good guy.
Um, it's funny every time when I met Brett,
Mhm.
Revo was coming through Louisville,
Yep.
and they played in this little tiny fucking place called Brewski's.
Hmm.
There was 10 people there, maybe. Ah, so,
Was
so,
that was that a very high stage off the ground?
I feel like it was pretty high. Yeah.
I have a vague memory of, I think a show in Louisville. I don't know if it was Brewski's, but we got there really late. We pulled up like late at night and just threw our shit up on the stage. And I remember the drum set was like on a 6 foot riser. I wonder if it was that place.
Was that
But
flat? Did you guys have a flat tire that night?
I think so. Cause yeah, I remember rolling up like shortly before we played. It must have been
Yeah.
that show. Yeah,
That,
I remember there
that
wasn't that many people there, but it was a good show.
it was a really good fucking show, dude.
Those are the most fun.
I was so surprised. I was like, hold on, Revocation's playing in this fucking place? Like,
Yeah, hell yeah.
called a buddy. I was like, we're going. It
Cool.
was really fucking cool.
Yeah, I remember that gig. That's fun.
That's funny. Um, Not like that anymore, no little fucking tiny shows.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
crazy the arc we had.
for sure, for sure. Been on great tours, and I think the Revo fan base is so like just a solid fucking bunch of fans.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so back onto Dreamless Veil because that is
Yeah,
why we're here.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I
That's okay.
go on tangents. So like walk me through like the writing process for you. Was it just all like you're playing something and like, oh, I got this inspiration for this song and
Sort of. I don't necessarily think that like each song was inspired by anything specific. Uh, but I did have like an overall idea of what I wanted it to sound like. I knew I wanted to like try to write black metal for real. I mean, I think when I write songs for Artificial Brain or Revocation, I always kind of like flirted with black metal a little bit. Like I would use a lot of minor triads and like, I would be inspired by some black metal, but I never really went all in. And I really wanted to do that with this record. Like I don't really know how it's gonna be received because I know how I mean, as a black metal fan, I know how like um reluctant black metal fans can be to accept something from the outside, and I
Yeah.
could very much be perceived as an outsider because Revocation was like a technical thrash death metal band and Artificial Brain is like arguably death metal. Personally, I think most of our riffs are black metal, but I wouldn't call us black metal. But yeah, this was my first time like actually delving in for real. And it was a quick writing process because I think I had always wanted to write this style and never really did. And when I started, it just like came so fast. I finished the whole album in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh shit.
And yeah, I just wrote like every day or every other day. And I tried to finish a song each day. There's not like too many riffs in each song. I mean, some of them are more complicated than others, but a lot of them kind of follow the verse, chorus, verse, bridge format. So
Yeah.
if I'm writing that way, I think songs can come together a little faster than say like, more prog sounding acts like Revo or Brain.
Hmm.
But yeah, the writing process was it was similar to what I always do, which is I'll come up with some sort of idea and then I'll put it on loop and play the other guitar part and like or I won't play the other guitar part. I'll try to make up another guitar part. And sometimes it's like I'm just playing the same riff left and right. Sometimes I'm playing a harmony of the riff. Sometimes I'm just like going all out and playing something unrelated until it kind of feels good. So I don't know. That is how I always write, whether it's for Revo Brain or this. Um, but yeah, I think that having the idea of the sound in my head first helped it come together quick. Because usually I'm just like experimenting when I
Yeah.
write.
Well, and it sounds like, you've wanted to do it for a while. So,
Yeah,
so the ideas had probably been piling up in there
yeah,
and
exactly.
like, oh, cool. I'm going to fucking knock it out, which is super cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I felt that way. I mean,
And I,
black metal has always been my favorite type of metal ever since I was a kid.
oh, right
And
on.
so I've always listened to it and I've always wanted to play it. I just never had the guts to dive in, I guess.
And yet here we are.
Mhm.
So I think I really think a lot of fans like when we look at genre specific, thrash and death and black metal and doom, a lot of those bands, a lot not the bands, but the fans. I don't want to call it gatekeeping, but they're very much like if you're not from our world, we have a
Yeah.
hard time, accepting that. Like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I noticed that about metal. It's very divided.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not one of these like, it's all metal, dude. We're all brothers. Like, I don't care. A lot of bands sound different. A lot of people were like, don't categorize metal because it just hurts the scene. But like, I don't think that's true. Like, I don't think that describing a band as black metal or death metal is harmful in any way. Um, but yeah, I tend to like a mix of styles. I mean, when I was younger and I started playing guitar, I liked all types of metal, and now kind of as I got older, I kind of gravitated towards black metal mostly, some
okay.
death
So
metal.
what like what was the first metal? What was your first foray into metal?
Well, when I was very young, I I didn't know about metal, and like the heaviest band I'd ever heard was Nirvana, and I mean they're still one of my favorite bands ever.
Love
And
them.
it's the whole reason I started playing guitar. And then I found Metallica when I was in seventh grade, and I was like instantly obsessed with them. Like it was the coolest fucking thing I ever heard. And then my friend's older brother, when I was in eighth grade, showed me Meshuggah, and it took me a second because it was pretty brutal having never heard like screaming before.
Yeah.
But I became a big fan, and I bought Destroy Erase Improve. And in the back of that album, there's like the thank you section, and then there's like thank you to the following bands for inspiration. It was like Death, Atheist, uh, I don't know if Morbid Angel was on there, but there was a lot of death metal on there, and I checked out all of those bands, and that's how I found Death. And then from there, it was just like I couldn't stop trying to find new bands. I
Down the
became
rabbit
like,
hole.
yeah, I went down the rabbit hole, and I grew up a couple of blocks from a place called Slip Disc Records, which is it was a pretty famous record store in my hometown, and they had all sorts of underground shit. So I would go there on the weekends and spend my allowance on whatever album. And back then, it was like I had no way of hearing these records before I bought them. So I just looked at the album cover and I was like, okay, I'll try this out. And like sometimes you get a stinker and sometimes you get something amazing, but I would always listen to the whole thing, even if I ended up not liking it. And I don't know, I hate to sound like a boomer, but I feel like that's gone now. Like it's you can find any music so fast. It's like if you don't like the first 10 seconds, you're gonna find something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just a different experience.
Well, you say that like I'm pushing 50 and that was
Mhm.
my life. Like we didn't
Yeah,
have it wasn't go like, oh dude, I'm gonna like text my buddy and he's gonna tell me about this great band that was
right, right.
like, oh, that artwork is cool as shit. Let's well, let's check that out. And you're right, dude. Like probably one of the most non-metal albums was Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
people
it's
were like,
fucking awesome though.
that's so awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But it's so not metal at
No, it's
all. Like,
not. But you look at the album cover and you think it's gonna be like death metal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's there is still that opportunity, right? Of course, everything is at our fingertips, but my daughter and her boyfriend, they're 17 and 18. They go to the
Mhm.
record store and they're like, "Oh, we came home with this," and I'm like,
Cool.
"Good, that's a good fucking album." Or, "Hey, tell me how that is,"
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
so it's still
Cool.
there. I think part
Yeah.
of it is just instilling that in the younger generations. You
Mhm.
know. So do you
For
have
sure.
kids?
No, no. I'm a single man.
So is there a song on the album that you like more than any of the others?
Uh Not necessarily. I kind of like them all for different reasons, but I will say I think that Cyanide Mine is one of the best songs I ever wrote. It's just like it's kind of short, so there's not a lot of I don't know, it's like kind of focused, I didn't stray from the feeling of the song ever. Like
Yeah.
sometimes the bridge comes along and you find yourself doing something almost unrelated to the song in the beginning, but this one kind of stayed on course. Um, yeah, I guess that one, but I like them all. It's really tough to say with the music that I write because I'm biased,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I,
Well,
I can't see it from an outsider perspective. So like, it's almost like I don't know what it sounds like, kind
it's
of.
I could absolutely see that.
Mm,
And this is gonna sound like a weird correlation, but it's like having a bunch of pets in your house and
yeah,
you go in and you're like, oh, it's just like my dogs, it's fine. Someone else comes in and they're like, man, it smells like dog in here, and you're like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
it's
so
like,
used to the way our dog smells. It
yeah,
never bothers me.
yeah. So I've listened to the album a couple of times through. I actually just listened to it a couple of times through, and like Saturnism is a killer jam, and I
Oh,
I
thanks, man.
I really dig A Generation of Eyes also.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, those two to me like really stand
Mhm,
out. But the album as a whole it's a great fucking album. Um,
mhm.
starts
Thank you.
strong, ends strong, like
Thanks. Yeah, I one of the things I think it has to its advantage that it's only 8 songs. I think sometimes if I'm listening to an album that's more than that, I can kind of get bored or like the songs start to you sort of like it loses the mystique after a while. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's not like this album's not like that short, but you know, only 8 songs I think makes it easier to latch onto for people. But
Yeah,
thank you. I'm glad you think the whole thing is good.
I think, as far as like a whole album goes, there's almost like a time threshold where
Mhm.
where people get to and they're like, okay, is this thing, is it gonna
Yeah,
end or
right. Like I love blast beats so much, but do you really want to listen to an hour of blast beats? Like, not really. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, None So Vile by Cryptopsy is one of my favorite death metal albums, and it's like 30 minutes.
right.
Perfect length.
Yeah, you just want it like
Mm,
when it's going fast, you're like, okay, I'm gonna hit it, listen, and get
yeah,
out. We're good.
yeah.
Yeah. So like for you, what started you like playing music?
Well, my dad would play guitar with me when I was younger. I was in sixth grade when I started, so I was 11. And I don't know, he just taught me like, open chords, power chords. We would jam on like Led Zeppelin songs and stuff like that. And my mom got mad at my dad for showing me Smoke on the Water. She was like, "Don't teach him that," which I think is funny because I think she wanted me to be anything I wanted except a heavy metal musician.
Mm,
Sorry. But yeah, I think I always loved music before I even knew I loved music. Like when I was a little kid, I'm talking like first grade, kindergarten, second grade. I used to go to my friend's house before school and we would play Nintendo NES at the time. So we were playing like the original Legend of Zelda and like Mega Man and all that shit. And I mean, I was too young to like be into anything, but I remember like hearing the music coming from the TV and like being like feeling something, And I don't know, that never went away. I just always liked music. Like I'll watch a movie and I'll like the music more than the movie. Stuff like that.
yeah,
Or I'll play a video game and I don't really like the game, but I'm into the music.
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I kind of was always into it, but playing guitar, my dad just kind of like put one in my hand, and I never thought that I would play guitar, but I liked it and I never stopped. So that's the secret to getting good at anything. Is just do it for
Don't
a really long time.
yeah,
You
don't
know?
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what do they say? Wise men aren't wise because they never made a mistake,
Yeah.
like they fucked
Yeah.
up a lot and they learned a lot. And that's,
Yeah.
you know, what's the secret? There isn't one. Work
Yeah.
hard at it.
You have to fuck up. If you're too scared to fuck up, you're not gonna learn.
Yeah.
So that's
You
what
know,
I've learned.
I think all the older you get, the more you realize like, okay, this
Mhm.
is I learn best when I fuck up. And not that I'm
Yeah.
gonna go out and do it intentionally, but
Right. Exactly.
you know,
But fucking up, like if you're playing a show and you fuck up a riff, that's less of a big deal than like how fast can you get back on? Because
yeah,
like of course you're gonna fuck up, but can you correct yourself? That's something that I got faster with it in time, and from it happening so much. I eventually got to the point where like I would just listen for where the snare is and correct myself, and like some people wouldn't even notice. I would notice, but you know, not everybody's paying close attention
yeah,
like that.
no. Well, and it shows most people are pretty drunk and they're just like, I'm having a good
Yeah, they're
time.
just having
Like,
fun. Yeah.
yeah, sounds great. We're cool. You're
Hell
like,
yeah.
uh, and then there are the sober people who are like, oh, like I'm really paying attention. I caught that, but he was like right back on track.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah,
cool
I
as
like
fuck.
seeing that stuff. If I go to see a band I like and I see them mess up, it's like, okay, they're real humans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, Motley Crue with their backing tracks, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So like in your years of touring, is there like a time that really sticks out to you as like this was a really pinnacle moment, or this was fucking hilarious for whatever reason?
Oh my God. Too many of those moments. I don't think because I was touring with Revo. I joined January 2010, and then we just did like so much shit. Like we were on the road like 5 months a year sometimes, and like I don't know, it was a trip. But I was in my early 20s, so it was fine. I didn't care. I just wanted to be away.
Yeah.
And man, we partied a lot. I drank a lot, and it was a lot of fun. I don't drink anymore, but I miss the good times. Honestly, for me, I think the most fun thing about touring was like, I don't know, just meeting people that you're on the tour package with, like whether it's the other bands or the crew. Like, I would always make friends with somebody and we'd have a good time for the tour. And like, partying with them, and then like you look on the stage and it's Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's just crazy. It's like this existence that I'm living right now is special, and not a lot of people get to experience life this way. So I definitely I have fond memories of touring for sure. I just don't do it as much because I artificial brain. We all have jobs, and like some of us are married. Um, we can't just drop everything to go on tour, but
Yeah.
we do sometimes, but like just not as often. And I have to say, as lame as this may sound, I like my jobs. I like having a routine. It's real nice. Like going to work every day and having the weekends off. It's just like I think that suits me more.
But I don't think that's lame at all, right? Because
Oh, okay.
I think that I think a lot of people that haven't done it,
Mhm.
you know, it's they look at it through like rose-colored glasses and they're like, oh man, I would totally live in a van for, you know, for years till we made it. And then, you know, you get in there and you do it after a month, you're like, my fucking back hurts, my feet
Yeah.
stink, like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Like not being able to shower regularly, that's I hate that.
yeah,
When we tour Europe, I think it's a little better because the venues have showers that are clean, they have laundry, there's catering. In America, it's like the venues hand you $5 for dinner and tell you to fuck yourself. You
you're like, ah,
know?
damn it.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
If only we had a better touring scene over here.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad. But you know, whatever.
Yeah,
What
it's
can you
all
do?
part of it. So
Yeah.
you know, I went in 2013, I went out to LA. This was like one of my favorite like memories of just like my wife and I, we weren't husband and wife at this time. We were only together like a year at this point, year and a half.
Mhm.
We flew out to California because that's where she grew up, and we saw uh we're friends with the Battlecross guys.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, we did a
So
tour with them.
yeah, with Death Angel and 3 Inches of
Yeah.
Blood and
Yep.
Diamond Plate. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That was a
Um,
fun
you guys were all playing the whiskey. And I was like,
one.
I said, fuck, we're gonna go there. And she's like, really? Why?
Yeah.
I was like, one, I fucking love Death Angel. You know, I grew up loving those dudes.
Yeah.
And Battlecross and fucking Revocation. And I was like, we're going. We are absolutely going. And we went. I'm gonna be honest with you. I drank way too much vodka that night.
Hell
I don't
yeah.
remember most of the show. I had such a great time. And we had to hit the fucking we had to catch a plane at like 5:30 the next morning.
Oh,
Oh, dude,
worst.
it was absolutely miserable. And I was like, I knew walking into the airport, they're like, dude, you smell like like you are still drinking. Like, no.
I've been there. I've been
Uh
there.
that was such like that was a really good show though. I was it was the whiskey, you know, I've always I want to
Yeah, yeah.
go see a
It's
show
cool
at the
to
whiskey.
have played there. It feels good to say I've played there.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of a dive, but I guess that's part of why it's cool.
Yeah, it's like it's been around for so many years and so many
Yeah.
bands have went through there.
Hmm.
So Dreamless Veil, the album came out 3 days ago.
Hmm.
I couldn't remember what day it was.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it was the 20th.
yeah. Um, so you're 3 days in, like have what's been the response that you've heard from it so far?
Well, I didn't do much digging. Like, you know, I didn't like do a search on Reddit to see if anyone posted it or anything like that. But you know, a couple of my friends hit me up, and that was cool. Um, I don't know. I don't really like look for this stuff too much. Not like I'm expecting there to be negative criticism. It's just like I don't know. I hope people like it. It's out there, but like I don't want to like I'm not looking for the validation, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, it seems like some people like it. I couldn't really I don't really know. My finger's not on the pulse of what people are listening to. I'm like
That
becoming increasingly out of touch and less on the internet. and
Good for you.
I don't really hear like buzz around anything. I don't know what's hot right now, you know. I just know what I like.
That I think that's how it should be, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
you should always it's like, the bands that I feel like the bands that have longevity play music that they like regardless of what
Yeah.
everyone's saying.
Yeah, I don't want to write an album thinking like, oh, should this have like a mosh part so kids can like it? Like I don't want to think like that when I write. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm kind of just like finding sounds that sound cool to me, and whether other people like that, I can't say. But I'm constantly like trying to like trying to make myself go, oh damn, that's cool, you know. And it's hard to do because I don't want to say that about something I made because I feel like that's so cocky. But like if I'm writing a riff and I'm into it, I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track, you know.
If you're writing a riff, you should absolutely be like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like I
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. That's
Uh
part of the fun is like kind of like exciting myself, you
yeah.
know. It's like I don't know.
No, that's exactly it. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
you obviously you play music for a reason. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you like you enjoy music, and with that, if you can please yourself, however,
Yeah, yeah,
weird that fucking
uh,
sounds. I mean, that's how it
yeah.
that's how it should start. And I think some of the best albums from artists are when they exactly do that. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Let's just go in and write, and we're gonna write something that's completely authentic to us.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck everything else.
Yeah, that's a noble pursuit, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and it generally comes off to the fans really well also.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So what kind of physical copies do you have for Dreamless Veil?
I have a couple of LPs shipped to me and a couple CDs. You can mostly get them, I think, through Relapse, but they did send me a few, which is nice. Well, they sent Mike a bunch, and then he broke me off some. I do have a shirt too, but that's all I got in
Thanks,
my
Mike.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So for the vinyl, what are the vinyl variants?
There's like black and gold. I think there's a white one. I don't know. Kind of the wrong person to ask. I did share them though. I mean, if Relapse posts about it, I'll share it on my page too.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't
That
know.
I don't know, but there are vinyl variants.
They
That's
are,
the
and they look cool. That's for sure.
did you all do cassettes with them since that's like
No, that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, if Relapse wanted to do that, that'd be tight. But I don't know how all out they wanted to go because we're a new band. They're kind of taking a risk on us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't want to like hit them up and be like, hey, can you print more shit? But it would be awesome to have cassettes. Hell yeah. That would be
Yeah.
sick. The
I'm sure.
cassettes are back. And I think that cassettes actually sound awesome with metal. It's a good genre for cassettes.
mm, I I do not miss cassettes at all.
Yeah, they kind of suck, but I'm
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, like I hated to sit there with a pencil and line
Yeah,
them
yeah,
up
yeah.
and like and I know people feel that way about like vinyl because if it scratches the whole that song is
Yeah,
fucked.
yeah, it's
But
less convenient, but I think it's a cooler format than CDs, which is what I grew up with. I
yeah,
still have a bunch of my CDs, but it's not as cool as vinyl, I think.
no, no, I don't think so either. I think vinyl's super freaking cool. Like especially it's so big and
Yeah.
tangible and you see the artwork like
Hmm.
Brian I've only seen the cover art, but Brian did a fucking great job on the cover
Yeah,
art for that
he really
album.
did.
Like
Hmm.
holy fuck, dude.
Yeah, Mike actually, he was like, I think I know the guy. I'm gonna hit him up, and then he showed me that. I was like, oh, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did he just do the artwork? Did you give him like an idea or did Did he like hear the music and do the artwork, or how did that
Uh,
work?
that's a question for Mike because he may have sent the guy the lyrics. It's possible. I don't know. I wasn't the one in touch with him, but I
Okay.
do love the work that he did. It. I was very happy with it.
Yeah. It's a it's a really cool fucking like cover.
Mm.
That's one of those covers you walk into a record store and you go, I'm fucking
Check
I'm
that one out.
buying that, right?
Cool.
Um,
Thanks.
so I'm just waiting for my vinyl to get here so I can like look at all of the, the whole piece because that's for me, that's where it like sits. So I want to buy the vinyl because I want the whole experience. Throw on my headphones, throw on the fucking record player, and just sit here and jam out.
Hell yeah. I love
Um,
new album day.
yeah, like almost every well, it 3 or 4 times a week here. My wife's like, "Will
Oh
you
wow.
stop buying records?" Oh,
Sorry.
no, no, I got a freaking box of records. I don't know. There's probably 15 or so in there, and she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Records." She's like, "What the fuck are you like?" I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Gotta do it.
doing. Yeah. So I know the album just came out. Have you started writing for album number two for?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have more than enough music written for a second album. I don't know if I want to use all those songs because, like, I mean, this is my usual process. I'll write too much and then scrap the songs that I think are not as good. So I have like 16 songs that I could use, but I don't know how many of those I want to use. Definitely three, but yeah, I'm always writing. So, I mean, even if nobody wanted to put the next record out, I would still be writing,
Right.
you know, and like figure out eventually. Like with Artificial Brain, we're making a new record and that's 10 songs, but I have much more than that written. And then I have another project called Ortolan where we're going to make a full length, but I also have songs written beyond that. It's just like writing music is the aspect of musicianship that I'm most passionate about. So like that's what I do the most. And yeah, like I'll play shows, but if I never played one again, that's okay to me. Um, but I'll never stop writing, you know.
You know, that's a I think that's a really cool like perspective. Um,
Thanks.
you know, most people that play music are, they do it, they put out the album so they can get people to come to the shows because they,
Yeah. I
want to
mean, I
be out
understand that too. I
for
know a
sure.
lot of people who are like that. It just I'm less like socially motivated. Like I don't. I mean, I'm very fortunate to live with two friends, and we have a lot of friends. So I'll see lots of people every week. But left to my own devices, I might just kind of turn into a hermit. um, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like bands put out an album and they're like, great, now we can go on tour. I'll make the album and be like, oh, do we have to tour?
Right. Can't we just make another album?
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
yeah. So you're essentially sitting on like an album-ish of, DV stuff and
Hmm.
an album of the artificial brain stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then my third project called Ortolan, it's also black metal. We have a record that we're going to make soon.
Okay. So and that you've already written all of that too.
Yeah, actually, a long time ago. I've been taking a break from writing, actually, but I'm going to get started again for sure. I just have so much that I haven't put out yet that I'm like, okay, instead of writing more, I should finish these songs and make sure we're good to go. You know?
Yeah. So when you write, do you fully flesh it out like on the guitar and then like with a drum machine and then bring in the rest of the band?
Yeah, I do. I'll program drums very detailed just to like get the ideas across in a way where like my bandmates can listen to it and be like, okay, I understand what you're trying to do here. Because sometimes if it's just guitar, I don't know, they could imagine a thrash beat or they could imagine a blast beat or whatever. But I just want to like make it really easy and be like, here's what I'm envisioning. But then, we'll sit down with our drummer. Right now, we're playing with Alex Tomlin, but we did this with Keith too. We'll sit down with him and I'll be like, here's what I had, but what are your thoughts? And sometimes it's the same thing, and sometimes they have another idea. And that's how Dreamless Veil went. Like, I had the drums programmed and I sent them to Dave Haley, and he kept a lot of the parts, but he also changed a lot of the parts. And I'm cool with whatever he wants to do. He's the drummer. I trust him. But every once in a while, I'll be like, hey, no, I want the snare to land here, stuff like that. But I'm fairly lenient, I guess. Um, but yeah, bass for Dreamless Veil, I played bass, so I wrote that all out. And for Ortolan on the record, I played bass, so I wrote that all out. But on Artificial Brain songs, I'll let Sam write his own bass line. So I'll usually just record guitar left and right, sometimes a third guitar in the middle if it calls for it, and then Sam does his thing.
Hell yeah. So where are you at with Ortolan? Is it like, have you guys already released stuff or?
Yeah, we released a demo
Okay.
on tape. My friend Paulo's label is called P2, and yeah, we put that out, and it was short, just 5 songs, and I have like uh, 10 songs written for an album, and then a bunch more. We'll just see like if I should keep writing for that project. Like if we put the album out and everybody thinks it sucks, then maybe I won't. But if people like it, I would love to keep writing for that project because it definitely overlaps with Dreamless Veil. Like it's fast black metal, but I think with Dreamless Veil, I'm like kind of focusing more on like I don't know, like the Somber Lane type black metal or like Nightside Eclipse type black metal. And Ortolan is more like furious and like a little weirder, I guess.
All right.
It's a little less pretty. I mean, I can't help myself. I write pretty riffs in most of my projects, but that's more like fast and brutal, and this is more like pretty, I guess. You to me,
Okay.
I don't know what a
Yeah.
normal person would think, but
Well, and then we have to get into the discussion about what is normal.
right, yeah, and
Yeah.
there is no answer.
No, no, normal is just whatever state of mind you're in. So
Yeah,
if it's pretty to you, it's pretty, right? Like
yeah.
that's just what it is.
Hmm.
Um, so when you write, do you go into it with like any sort of storyline in your head, or are you just looking
Not
strictly at?
necessarily. If I'm writing, I'm usually just like I'll put the guitar on. I don't have an idea in my head, and I'm just like fucking around. And then like once I find a little tiny like split second of an idea, I'll be like, oh, how can I build on that? Like I usually don't have a fully fleshed out riff in my head. I'm like building it out of like mini Lego blocks, so to speak. Um, but honestly, I've been writing that way forever, and I don't. I feel like I should probably try a different approach because I don't know. I got to change it up. I'm starting to feel like everything I write sounds exactly the same, which is something it's hard to escape because like you have a style that you build and then you're running with it, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, I can't escape my own style now.
I
So
mean,
it's like I don't know. I always dreamed of having a sound, and now that I have a sound, I can't get away from it. So
you're
I
like,
can't
I gotta
really.
break the fucking mold.
Yeah. I gotta try something else. But then again, it's just like a fun activity. I'm not really overthinking it ever. I'm just having fun.
That's the important thing.
Mm,
It's when you get into it and you overthink it and you do things like you, I don't know, it starts to get to a point where it gets like overproduced and it's too thought
yeah,
out. Like,
yeah. I don't want that.
no, no, I don't think anyone really does.
Nobody wants it.
No, 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 maybe P. Diddy, but
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Ah.
yeah, oops.
He's gone.
Yeah, all that shit. My wife's sending me stuff about that all day today, and I'm like,
Oh man, it's crazy.
she's
Yeah.
like, who's
I
who's who's getting arrested next? I'm like, I don't know,
yeah.
Jay
I don't
Z.
know. Who knows? I want to say I can't believe it, but I can believe
Yeah,
it. Like some super rich people are up to some crazy shit.
yeah.
Yeah, it
No,
sucks.
no surprise there, right?
Right, right.
Maybe that's why we're not super rich.
Yeah.
not into the fucking weird shit. Whatever. Let them go do whatever they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Just leave me out of it. Let me enjoy
yeah,
my
yeah,
music.
yeah. I'm doing my own thing.
So what bands are you listening to right now that you think other people should listen to?
um, Yesterday I was listening to a lot of Arisminda. They're like one of those Black Twilight Circle bands, and I like pretty much every one of those bands. But I've been listening to them a lot. I mean, I'm always listening to Emperor. I'm always listening to Abigor. They're one of my favorite bands. Um, I think that my friend Gabriele put out an album by his band Cosmic Putrefaction, and that's been I've been listening to that one a lot. It's really cool. He also mixed his own album like I did with this, and it sounds great. So I'm really stoked for him. But yeah, Profound Lord just put that one out. I don't know the title of the album, but Cosmic Putrefaction is the band name. So I've been listening to that a lot. There's an Italian band that I like called Gork. It's Gorrch. I think more people need to know about that band because they're really sick.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I have Kraft. I've been listening to a lot of Kraft. I like that band a lot. One of my favorite Swedish death metal band, black metal bands for sure. Um, but I think that's like the metal I've been listening to this past month. I listen to a lot of like soundtracks, like movies or video games, or like I like classical, specifically impressionist period stuff. Uh, so I'm listening to a lot of that. Honestly, I'm always listening to music. I'm not always paying attention to it, but I'll put it on my headphones while I'm like playing video games or like you know reading the internet or something.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then at
me too.
work, some people put on like whatever, like if they listen to like pop music and Charlie XCX, which is fine, you know. I'm not offended by it.
Yeah, I mean everyone's got their own tastes, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it's cool.
I'm the same. Like there's always something going on. My wife got in my car. Actually, my wife got in my car a couple weeks ago and we were just driving, like no music, and she's like, "What the hell's wrong with you? Do you need like a
Mm.
thermometer?" Like
You okay?
just work going on in my brain.
Mm.
Like it's ridiculous. I love work, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's too much, you know.
yeah, for sure.
So is there a favorite club that you've played at that stands out as like that's the
Oh
place that
man,
you want to go to all the time?
yeah, yeah. This place in I can't even pronounce the name. It's called like Doorn Rose or something like that. It's in I think it's in the Netherlands, but it's like such a sick venue. Like you pull the tour bus in and they have like this big claw that picks the whole thing up and rotates the bus because like you can't do a 3 point turn or a U-turn. So it just like literally like lifts the whole bus up and turns it around, and they have like this incredible chef that makes you dinner there when you play, and she'll just like cook all the bands a 5 course meal. It's the most amazing food you ever had. And yeah, that's that's the best venue I've ever played.
Hell yeah.
Dorn Bruise or something. I gotta look up how you spell it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that place rules. But honestly, that's like best as in like classiest, like coolest venue. But like I've also played shows like we were talking about earlier with Brewskis. Like I've played shows in like garages that are fucking amazing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I've played shows at BB King's in New York that sucked. So it's not like how fancy the venue is, although that one is an exception because the food is so good.
The the food, like you
Yeah,
go somewhere and it's got great food, you're like,
yeah,
I love that
I'm
place.
sold. I'm sold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
it's like my
It could
favorite
be a
thing in the world.
freaking hole in the wall, but if the food's amazing, I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, that's where we need to go constantly. Um, so do you have plans to take Dreamless Veil out on the road over like the next year or so?
I don't know about a tour. I mean, Dave lives in Australia. He's touring with Psycroptic soon. They're about to
Mhm.
do that Nile 6 Feet Under tour.
That's gonna be
Unfortunately, it's
fun.
not coming to my town. It's not going to be that close, so I might miss it. But I would like to see Dave again. It would probably be difficult to get him to play drums in a live setting because, like, getting the paperwork to have him come from Australia just to do one gig with us seems like kind of not doable, especially because like we're not like a famous band or anything. It's not
Right,
like the venue's going to be paying us $10,000 to play.
right.
Um, so I don't know. I would have to put together a lineup. I think I could probably get Artificial Brain to be the backing band. Like those guys, we're all really good friends, and we all have other projects, so it's not like they couldn't take on another thing. But they're busy. I don't know. I would be happy to, but it's a hurdle putting together a lineup. Originally, this was supposed to be a one man thing where I was going to have the program drums and I was going to write lyrics and do the vocals. But when I was writing lyrics, I was like, honestly, this sucks and I'm not good at this and it's not sick. So I got to talk to somebody else. But it happened that Mike was my roommate and I was like, hey, you're a great vocalist and lyricist. How do you feel about this? And I love what he came up with.
Hell yeah. That's freaking cool. Well, okay. So maybe it's not off the
Maybe.
table, but it's not really in the works right
Right,
now.
right, right. But it's not
Cool.
off the table.
Yeah. Well, if you want to like fly down to Cincinnati for the Nile and SFU
Oh
like
shit.
tour,
That would be cool.
dude, I'll be at the Cincinnati show, and then 6 Feet Under is also doing a headliner in Lexington right around
Cool.
there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, say hi to Dave Haley. He's a really nice dude.
I will. I will. Buddy of mine is doing bass for 6 Feet Under on this run, so
Oh, cool. Oh, who is it?
Jeff Golden.
Oh, Jeff Golden. Okay, I knew him when he played Crowbar.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
So like good for Jeff. Like get out there. He's always like, I want to go fucking tour more. Like
Mhm.
now you're doing it. He's got a project going with Katie McCrimmon, who was with the Convalescents before.
Mhm.
Um they're doing Blood of the Earth, Blood on the Earth. God, sorry, Jeff. Don't fucking hate me.
Yeah,
Um it's one of that, but it's like a really cool like Doom project.
cool.
Um okay, Dan, thank you, dude. I greatly
Yeah.
appreciate you
Oh,
taking
thank you,
time out of
man.
your night and chatting with me.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to getting the vinyl and throwing it on the record player and harassing my family with it.
Cool. Well, I hope they like it.
Maybe. I think my daughter and her boyfriend will.
Cool.
My wife's a
Yeah.
hippie, so we'll see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, you never know.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So go and have yourself a great night, man. I
Thank
hope
you.
the album does everything that you want it to do.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Have a great night.
You too, man.
Thanks, brother. See ya.
Yeah.